Pro basketball today on SportsGrid. Kevin Walsh and Coach James Young with you as the postseason. The National Basketball Association rolls on, and we have had some drama. We have had some upsets. We have had some dominant performances as well. And when you check in on our 8 opening round series, almost all of them have seen, a road team grab a game. We've seen 1-1, tight 2-1 series to start. There are only 2 teams who have so far not lost a game. We will get to all of that. But, Coach, it is great to talk to you here on a Saturday on SportsGrid. So much to get into.
So much we have to get into, but I got to stop you. See, last week, me and my guy, we weren't here. And there was a special reason why. Shout out to the real MVP, the real planner, the real everything. The reason why K-Dub is who K-Dub is. Congrats to Kevin and Sam. Fantastic wedding last weekend. The whole crew was in the building. Shout out SportsGrid. So before we give LeBron his flowers and we trash Kevin Durant and I go off on the Knicks and everything else, look at that handsome group of people. But there's no one better looking than the person that K-Dub's left. That is Sam. K-Dub, congratulations again. What a wedding last weekend.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. I appreciate everybody behind the scenes. Incredibly nice words, an incredibly fun time. You remember it forever. There's no doubt about that. One of the few reasons I think Coach and I would be willing to miss a pro basketball today during the postseason. So, again, I thank you a bunch. And I have to wonder. I think about Coach. I think about my team behind the scenes. And I think, you know what? Might be trying to butter me up. I don't know. Might be trying to think maybe we'll get K-Dub to not talk about the greatest basketball player that has ever walked planet Earth, LeBron James, doing it again. And honestly, we are at a point now, JY, where it's really a silly debate, but I just wanted to make that point. I don't know if we should really spend the length of this show debating greatest of all time. We should probably try and figure out, how did we get here? The biggest round 1 favorite, Oklahoma City. Okay, that makes sense. Then it was followed by Boston and San Antonio. They are 2nd and 3rd, respectively, in the odds to win the championship. And then it was the Houston Rockets. Much bigger favorites than even the number 1 seed Detroit Pistons. Much bigger favorites than, of course, the Knicks or the Nuggets in their respective series. They are down 3-0. To LeBron and the Lakers. What has been your biggest takeaway, Coach, watching these 3 games?
It's just honestly the greatness of LeBron and just the sheer, let's start with LeBron because there's deeper to this. LeBron has been absolutely fantastic. He's been the best player in this series. And if the Lakers were going to win this series, you needed LeBron James to be LeBron, and he has delivered, unreal. Obviously 19 points with the, almost the triple double in game number 1, game 2, 28, game 3, 29. Just phenomenal play out of LeBron. But I think what needs to be talked about, Kevin, is the fact that he is really lifting this team up to get guys to play at levels that we did not know was possible. Did we think Luke Kennard? We're at Kevin's wedding last weekend, and we're like, what in the Luke Kennard is happening? And Stan's probably ready to kill us because we're like, yo, Luke Kennard got 15. Luke Kennard got 18. Oh, Luke Kennard's got 23, right? So what did they do in game 2? Well, now Marcus Smart shows up to the party, and they combined for about 49 points. So what do you get in game 3? Right? You get Rui Hachimura stepping up, right? You get other guys playing well. Marcus Smart continues to play well, going 9-11 for the free throw line, 21 points. You get 3 guys with 20 or more. So there is a lot of what LeBron is doing that needs to be studied, not just the scoring, but the leadership and the lifting up of his teammates. That being said, what's going on in Houston is an absolute travesty. They're down 0-3. Nobody saw this coming. I know Durant's missed 2 of the 3 games. I don't care. There's enough talent there, and there needs to be discussions about what's going on. Is it the coaching? Is it the lack of leadership by Durant? Or are we now seeing guys like Van Vliet and Steven Adams, the adults in the room not being there, now coming into focus as we're now in the playoffs?
I think with this Rockets team, if you've backed them game to game, I get it, right? Value, bounce back spot, can't look this ugly again, all good. But pre-series, the idea that this Rockets team without home court, who have hated one another since the All-Star break, with a coach who has disliked most of them, this is just it was clear as day at the press conference. Coach can speak to it better than I can about what Ime Udoka chose to do at the press conference at the end of Game 3. Nothing on him, all on the guys. And some of his words made me think, man, they must have really not executed the simple things he gave them to execute, but it wasn't a good look. My point, but I bring it up to say, the idea that this Rockets team was the size of favorite that they were didn't reflect who they have been, I think, for most of this season, but also who LeBron James is. And the LeBron piece of it is, yes, a little tongue-in-cheek because again, we're friends, we're having a good time with it, okay? It is remarkable. It shouldn't be possible. He is 40. He's the oldest player in the league. He's 23 seasons. And he's the best player in the series. Remove Durant for a second. How does Alperen Şengün allow that to happen? How does Amen Thompson allow that to happen? Both of them are supposed to be better than LeBron James at this point in their careers. Comfortably, they're not. I have a crazy LeBron-Luka question that I'm not entirely sure I even want to do because, this whole thing might divulge into madness. But the level LeBron is playing at is truly, truly remarkable. But I've seen some pro-LeBron guys, Coach, be annoyed at how people are talking more about Houston's mess than LeBron's credit. Look, LeBron will get his credit. Don't worry about that. I understand why we're talking about the Rockets' mess. They don't understand, rotations, basic offense. Don't turn it over. There's so many small things they can't seem to figure out. They went out there. They got three bench points in game number 3. So it's a Rockets team that, unless they do the unimaginable, never been done before, come back from 3-0, there's a breakup coming. Udoka being fired, Durant asking out again, Şengün being moved on, maybe a never saw it coming Amen Thompson deal. I don't know. But, Coach, this team has to win 4 consecutive games to have any chance of running it back next season, and certainly nobody thinks they're going to be winning 4 consecutive games.
No, Kevin, you got to wonder with this young roster if they're going to even get one. Let's be honest. Up 101-95, 30 seconds left, and you guys literally, what to bet. And it's just simple stuff like, Jabari, take the foul. Just take the foul. You go to foul line, you go up 8, it's over, right? So there's a lot of things that need to be discussed. We'll have more time during this break, but you're right. Listen, LeBron will get his flowers. This is about Houston, a team that overachieved, that had the target on their back, and they're young guys. You talk about Şengün, talk about Jabari, you talk about Amen Thompson. You also got to talk about Reed Shepherd, who has been awful. 5 of 27 and 7 out of 27 from 3. He has not played well in this series.
Well, again, but I've been talking about this with you, Coach, for years now. Ime Udoka's tour de force on how to give a player zero confidence is finally cut. He played 11 minutes in game 2. What do you expect? So, again, it's a fun start to the show. We're going to keep it rolling here on SportsGrid.
Can alienate your fan base. That's the problem. You got to show your fan base that you're still trying to win, and you want to sell tickets in the summertime. You don't want to go into mid-May and say, all right, we're 15 games out, but it's still only early May. No, fans will stay away. So you don't have the luxury anymore of just waiting. So someone's got to get fired. One of these teams is going to fire someone by the end of the month.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
I thought the Jets would have pulled the Ty Simpson move. I was desperately worried that was what they were going to do. But instead, they ended up getting it right with Bailey. And so did, by the way, the prediction markets, because we saw all that money come in for Bailey. It's kind of funny because all it is, and then you forget. Who did Arizona go with? I mean, Arizona went with a running back.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
We're seeing, as sports betting is continuing to rise, that some of the potential issues around it are rising too, and these companies are having to deal with that. You have several lawmakers have introduced bills across states in Congress to potentially curb some of the problematic activity. In some cases, like in Ohio, we talked about last week, we potentially end online sports betting.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
It's a 7-game sprint with a whole lot of volatility, right? You don't want the best team, so to speak, Donnie. You want the team that has a favorable group stage, weaker knockout path, and has some penalty variance coming their way here, because this is all about the path to the final, Donnie. It's not about the best team, because the best team can get knocked out.
Prediction Markets Edge, only on SportsGrid.
Pro basketball today here on SportsGrid, man. And after some, confirming in the group, we are going to bring up the LeBron-Luka question, which I think does give us an opportunity to, one, spotlight LeBron. Also maybe ask some questions about Luka. And maybe there should be some questions about what this Lakers team can actually do going forward. This is a question that I ask without a smile, just like truly wondering what people think. And it's, if I swapped LeBron and Luka, would the Lakers be up 3-0 in this series? And my opinion is no. I actually think that Luka would have significantly better numbers because he'd be averaging about 38 a game. LeBron's averaging 25. I also don't even know if the Lakers would be leading this series. I think the way LeBron is activated Smart, activated Kennard, I don't know if Luka does that. And look, I am not trying to tear Luka down to lift LeBron up. You don't have to tear anybody down to lift up LeBron at this point in time. It's just a style of play thing, Coach. I'm curious what you make of the LeBron-Luka swap conversation.
Listen, we're not asking who's the better basketball player right now. I mean, let's be honest. It's honestly, Kevin, a lot closer than people think.
Yeah.
But it's Luka. But what it is the ability, like I said last segment, as a coach, to elevate your team, right? Put your team on your back and not just do it yourself, but raise the guys around you. The amount that Luka dominates the ball, do we think Marcus Smart and Luke Kennard have 49 points in game number 2? No. Does Luke Kennard go off for 23 points in game number 1? No. Does maybe game 3 happen? Maybe, but there's no guarantee they win that game either. Now, I'm not saying that you swap Luka and LeBron, it's now 3-0 Houston, but it definitely isn't 3-0 Lakers. And I think that's what we have to take from is, as a coach, like I said, it's about getting guys to believe, right? And the great ones have done it, right? LeBron has done it. Jordan has done it. Kobe has done it. Has Luka really done that and elevated all these other guys behind him? I mean, yeah, you can talk about Brunson in a series.
I think I think he elevated all those bigs in Dallas. I don't want to tear Luka down. I just think the way that they are playing right now is completely different than if Luka were out there running the show. And I think this is the interesting question. It's just, what do the Lakers do in the next round? We assume Luka's back. We assume Reeves is back. We certainly assume they'll be playing Oklahoma City. Like, is it just back to Luka ball? Is it just back to dribble? I'll figure out. Is that what the Lakers do against the Thunder? Because I got to tell you, here's one of the things that was not supposed to happen. Lakers Thunder, round 2, healthier team, Lakers. That's what we're gearing up towards. J-Dub just ended up with a different hamstring injury for OKC. I am not acting like the Thunder won't be huge favorites in the series. I'm not acting like that. What I am saying is that health questions were supposed to be on the LA side of that series. We know Reeves is playing in that series. He nearly played in game number 3. And Luka would be back at the latest, the absolute latest, game 3 of that series in Los Angeles, if not game number 1, coach. So this Lakers run, and we'll talk about the West as a whole, it has started to really put a couple of things on its head that we really weren't anticipating.
No, we were not. And I think for me, and not just to get ahead of ourselves, we probably could, because the Lakers are going to win this series. They're up 3-0. And unless something happens and Devin Booker has cursed the referees and they're going to call fouls on SGA and the Thunder, well, that series is probably over too. Let's be honest. So if I am JJ Redick, and let's give credit where credit's due. We have knocked JJ Redick at times. Defensively, they've done a great job. And he needs some credit. So does Nick McMillan and Scott Brooks as having 2 adults and former head coaches on the staff. I think you got to play through LeBron and make him the chameleon in round 2. Because if you try to go small, Caruso on LeBron, I'm going to put LeBron in the low post and let him facilitate out of there. You still have a number of defenders on the perimeter that still are going to be able to probably stay with Luka or make him work, and Luka's not all the way back. We don't even know how he's going to be when he plays, right, Kevin? So I think you run your offense through LeBron and get Luka to understand it's okay to let LeBron kind of be the facilitator, and then now as LeBron attracts attention, it's shot, 1 dribble shot, and now they can't load up on him. But it also spaces the floor for Marcus Smart, who's been a better 3-point shooter in his career. Luke Kennard, who I've said numerous times in this network, is a top 5 shooter in the world. Run it through LeBron, run it through the low post, and then space with shooters, and it gives Luka and Reeves and the others more ability to create as a double team, and their focus is now on LeBron.
Let me just ask you this piece of it, Coach. We'll preview, picks, Suns, Thunder. We have time for all of that. If I just tell you no Jalen Williams, round 2, how concerning is that for Oklahoma City?
It's 2 different hamstring injuries. And we don't know what it Kevin, I think they said week to week. We don't know what that means. Yeah. And here's the thing, and I've talked about this as a coach. Hamstrings are tough because if you bring them back too quick, we talked about Darren Peterson during the year, it can go from a week to a month. So they have to be extra careful. The Lakers will be in that series. I'm not saying they're going to win it, but it ain't going to be a sweep of 5 games. It will probably go 6 because LeBron will get you at least 1 or 2 in that series.
I have found the Thunder to just be a horrific matchup for the Lakers, like an embarrassing, this isn't even fun to watch matchup. The postseason can be different. And the idea that J-Dub won't be out there makes a difference. I'm not sitting here telling you right now, I'll pick the Lakers to win that series. But, man, J-Dub, to me, Coach, immediately reminded everybody just how good he was during those 2 postseason games. That's a big, big loss. We'll talk about the Spurs statement after the break on SportsGrid.
can't alienate your fan base. That's the problem. You got to show your fan base that you're still trying to win, and you want to sell tickets in the summertime. You don't want to go into mid-May and say, all right, we're 15 games out, but it's still only early May. No, fans will stay away. So you don't have the luxury anymore of just waiting. So someone's got to get fired. One of these teams is going to fire someone by the end of the month.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
I thought the Jets would have pulled the Ty Simpson move. I was desperately worried that was what they were going to do. But instead, they ended up getting it right with Bailey. And so did, by the way, the prediction markets, because we saw all that money come in for Bailey. It's kind of funny because all it is, and then you forget. Who did Arizona go with? I mean, Arizona went with a running back.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
We're seeing, as sports betting is continuing to rise, that some of the potential issues around it are rising too, and these companies are having to deal with that. You have several lawmakers have introduced bills across states in Congress to potentially curb some of the problematic activity. In some cases, like in Ohio, we talked about last week, to potentially end online sports betting.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
It's a 7-game sprint with a whole lot of volatility, right? You don't want the best team, so to speak, Donnie. You want the team that has a favorable group stage, weaker knockout path, and has some penalty variance coming their way here, because this is all about the path to the final, Donnie. It's not about the best team, because the best team can get knocked out.
Prediction Markets Edge, only on SportsGrid.
All right, back with you guys right here on Pro Basketball Today. And man, oh man, the Scoot Henderson breakout this postseason has been fun. But at what cost is perhaps what Blazer fans were thinking, as he and Dylan Harper were going back and forth a little bit in that third quarter specifically. And Scoot, with a tough bucket, one-on-one, right on Harper, started giving it to him a little bit. Refs came in with a technical foul. One of those, like, you'd rather they didn't, but it's always going to be a tech. The problem was, Dylan Harper went absolutely wild after that technical foul and bucket from Scoot Henderson. Scoot, by the way, I'm not even entirely sure he scored again the rest of the game. Dylan Harper finished with 27 points, 10 rebounds, a game-best plus 25 in 30 minutes off the bench in a game where his team was trailing by 15 points. Steph Castle was struggling a little bit in the third quarter. Obviously had an overall great game. Fox wasn't doing his part. Harper brought this team back and not only gave them a commanding 2-1 lead, because we expect Wemby to be back for game number 4, but kind of an announcement that this Spurs core isn't just Wemby and a bunch of guys. Steph Castle might be an all-star next season, and Dylan Harper won't be far behind him, JY. I thought this was as good of it as it could have gone for the San Antonio Spurs against Portland.
Yeah, obviously, with Wemby being in concussion protocol, it also kind of relaxes you a little bit, because when you get to a point, Kevin, and it's 1-1 and you're on the road, you just want to split, right? You just want to split. You want to get back at least level 2-2 so that you have 2 of the last 3 games at home. And you're absolutely right. And it's more than just Wemby. And we've talked about the depth of this team. And you saw it on full display. Now, we can talk about how great Scoot Henderson was in the first half, but still, Kevin, 18 minutes, 41 seconds, 3 of 9 from the floor, 1 of 4 from 3. Yikes. Go to the other side, Dylan Harper, second half, 22 points, 7 of 9, 3 out of 3, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, and a block. Oh my goodness. So when you have this coming off the bench, and you have Steph Castle, who was absolutely fantastic in his game, giving you 14 points right there, the Spurs scored 61 points in the second half. And these two have 36 of them. That's almost more than Portland did their entire team in the second half. And if you take out Drew Holiday, Kevin, I think they were like 11 for, 35 from the floor. Drew Holiday, I mean, Kamara wasn't great, 1 of 4 from the floor. Avdija wasn't not good. Klingon didn't really do much. So to me, it's more about what everyone else did in the Spurs. In the Blazers, besides Scoot. But now, if you are San Antonio, you play chess. You got enough guys that could score that you find a matchup and you find a guy that's going. And honestly, Kevin, you let him cook. I mean, we haven't got the fact that Luke Cornett gave you a double-double last night starting.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, it's the performance that makes San Antonio be like, uh-oh, when Wemby comes back, they still have so many other parts that if Wemby is off, they can get it from other guys.
Yeah, the only bad thing I would say for the Spurs, and this is, sorry for being annoying, take of the day, and no, that wasn't the LeBron stuff. I'm not sorry about any of that. De'Aaron Fox's extension hasn't started yet, and there's just no world he should be starting next season over Dylan Harper. I just don't know what the Spurs do about that. We know Steph Castle's locked himself in, but Harper went second overall. In a rookie class, by the way, we know how excellent Coop is. Khan had an incredible year, may still win Rookie of the Year. VJ Edgecombe balling, obviously, for Philadelphia. Harper went second. And I don't think the Spurs are sitting there for any moment thinking, oh, did we get the right guy? No, they think they have the right guy, which means they're going to have to figure out those combinations. Quickly, just Philly and Boston. And maybe I should give this. I will give this a little bit more time on the other side. I will give this more time on the other side. It's remarkable that Jason Tatum is just out there playing 40 minutes and it doesn't feel noteworthy. So, yeah, of course he's playing 40 minutes. He's playing 40 minutes in regular season games, hitting big shots, leading his team in rebounds, assists, just the whole thing, just being Jason Tatum. Unbelievable. Really, really impressive stuff. We'll be right back here. It's Pro Basketball.
Can't alienate your fan base. That's the problem. You got to show your fan base that you're still trying to win, and you want to sell tickets in the summertime. You don't want to go into mid-May and say, all right, we're 15 games out, but it's still only early May. No, fans will stay away. So you don't have the luxury anymore of just waiting. So someone's got to get fired. One of these teams is going to fire someone by the end of the month.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
I thought the Jets would have pulled the Ty Simpson move. I was desperately worried that was what they were going to do. But instead, they ended up getting it right with Bailey. And so did, by the way, the prediction markets, because we saw all that money come in for Bailey. It's kind of funny because all it is, and then you forget. Who did Arizona go with? I mean, Arizona went with a running back.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
We're seeing, as sports betting is continuing to rise, that some of the potential issues around it are rising too, and these companies are having to deal with that. You have several lawmakers have introduced bills across states in Congress to potentially curb some of the problematic activity. In some cases, like in Ohio, we talked about last week, to potentially end online sports betting.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
It's a 7-game sprint with a whole lot of volatility, right? You don't want the best team, so to speak, Donnie. You want the team that has a favorable group stage, weaker knockout path, and has some penalty variance coming their way here, because this is all about the path to the final, Donnie. It's not about the best team, because the best team can get knocked out.
Prediction Markets Edge, only on SportsGrid.
All right, guys, back with you right here on Pro Basketball Today. We're going to run through some of these other series we haven't been able to get to yet. Just Boston, Philly. Look, truly my biggest takeaway is Jason Tatum in 3 games is not just averaging 23, 10, and 8, but he's averaging 38 minutes a game. This isn't the best Jason Tatum series we have ever seen. It is a series that I think Boston fans will remember forever. He will remember forever because, Coach, he's really not supposed to be out there. You know what I mean? Like, this was never supposed to be a thing. He battled all the way back to make it possible, and he battled back so hard. Most shows aren't even talking about this the way that you and I are right now because he's been playing 30-plus minutes, 35-plus minutes since March. But I'm still just incredibly, incredibly impressed with what we've seen from Jason Tatum. I mean, he looks like Boston's best player again.
He does. I don't know if Jaylen Brown likes to hear that, but hey, Kevin, it's the truth. He is Boston's best player, and he's his most dynamic player. And let's be honest, the only concern you had for Jason Tatum early on in the series is he started out 3 of 15 from 3. Came back 5 of 9 last night, big shot after big shot. But to me, Kevin, the biggest number for me is 7, 9, and 7. That's the assist. So he's giving you 2 out of 3 games, over 50% from the floor. The other game, he just gave you 42.1, but he had 5 fouls, only 19 points. But the assists, and I think that's the key thing. It's his ability to make smart basketball decisions. It's funny. I had Tim Capstraw, who does a great job with the Nets, on my Coach's Edge with JY a couple of days ago. We kind of got into that Boston. We thought about game 2, that the ball kind of stuck a little bit, right? Like they weren't moving the ball as much. You saw that more out of Boston last night, and you saw it particularly out of Jason Tatum. If he continues to shoot at a 50% clip and it's going to give you 6, 7, 8 assists a game, Kevin, look out below. As long as they knock down threes at a decent rate and they shot 43% last night, they're going to be the best team in the East because he's playing like, honestly, Kevin, as wild as it sounds, Jason Tatum before the injury last year.
Yeah, I think, he may not be exactly there just yet, but it's really, really impressive. And I think the difference will be for this run, however long this Boston run is, Jaylen Brown will be the leading scorer. And I think that allows Tatum to have less pressure, facilitate more, and it allows Jaylen Brown to stay comfortable in that role. For Philly, we wait and see if Joel Embiid could potentially make an appearance in this series. Let's stay in the East here, JY, where, well, things aren't going as well for one of the preseason conference favorites. The Knicks are down 2-1. Here's the odd bit of it, though. They've lost consecutive games by a point. And I feel as if all of the panic and trade everybody and fire everybody stuff, none of it would exist if they won one of these games by a point. I understand they didn't, but it's not like they're wildly outmatched. There's just a lot of pressure right now on the New York Knicks to break through. And there's a lot of people who certainly could be, at fault. Coach, what has been your biggest takeaway from the first 3 games of Knicks Hawks?
The decision-making of Mike Brown has come to the forefront to the point where there's immense pressure. I texted Ian Begley this morning, last night, and said, is this guy really in trouble if they lose? He goes, yeah, he's probably going to be the fall guy, which there's going to be panic in New York because there always is panic in New York. There's panic in New York when they're not good. But now when they're good and expected to win, if they don't win, you're going to see fireworks. And it was just interesting. As crazy as it sounds, Kevin, the Knicks are literally, 30 seconds away from being up 3-0. But when you lose the way you lose the last two games, with Brunson dominating the ball, not sharing it, and making just terrible decisions, and then being a cone defensively, he's got to get some heat. Mikal Bridges and his 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12 first-round picks he was giving up, he's been a hot mess. Josh Hart hasn't been good. But I want to take people back to the last possession. You have C.J. McCollum, who, when he gets Brunson, is hunting Brunson. So you take him out of the game with Cat, and you put Deuce McBride on him. Now, Deuce had a nice game, did some things. But isn't this why you got OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges? Isn't this why you sat Mitchell Robinson for long stretches and didn't play him big minutes and didn't play him on back-to-backs? Why is Mitchell Robinson not on the floor? Why isn't Anunoby guarding McCollum? Like, if you say, all right, fine, then Bridges takes McCollum. You put, obviously, a Congo being guarded by Mitch, and then you put OG on Johnson. Everybody in the world knew the ball was going to C.J. McCollum, except the Knicks staff. And they have immense pressure on them today. And you're going to find out a lot about this core of New York. And I'm not talking Cat and OG. I'm talking the Villanova boys. Because the blame now is going away from Cat, right?
Yeah, of course.
And it's going right to the Nova guys, and it should be as well.
Yeah, no, and it has been now 2 years of a lot of Knicks fans, not coach, a lot of Knicks fans wanting to blame every single thing on Karl Anthony Towns. Everything's Cat's fault. Brunson can do no wrong. Karl Anthony Towns, again, has been the better of the two superstars compared to Brunson throughout the regular season, just like last year. But in the postseason, it's supposed to be Brunson's moment because he takes every single shot, dribbles every possession, da-da-da-da-da. Well, last game, Karl Anthony Towns was a plus 22. Why is he only out there for 34 minutes? What's going on? Okay? At this point, people are wondering what the offseason moves should be. You know what? It's Cat's team. Villanova guys are out. Find a way to get Devin Booker here and bring me the Harrison twins. Let John Calipari coach the team. We're going to make this the Kentucky Knicks. We tried the Villanova one. It's crazy it is crazy how this group operates. Because there is a lack of comfortability here with so many of the guys. It has never, to me, felt as if Cat has truly clicked with this group in the way that he should, considering I think he's actually their best player. It is interesting the pressure that Mikal Bridges is faced with because he was traded for a Giannis amount of draft picks and draft capital to make this Villanova core all come together. It's been fascinating to watch Brunson's status drop the way it has. The one thing you expected were Knicks fans never to point the finger at him. They have no choice because C.J. McCollum is putting him on an island and winning the matchup. That can't happen. Like, we're going to talk Jokic Gobert. At least Rudy Gobert is one of the all-time great defensive players. I mean, trust me, it's still awful for Nikola Jokic, supposed to be the best guy in the world. I mean, don't worry, that's coming. That's coming. Don't worry about it. Tell you that. Would never happen to LeBron in his prime. That's all. You got to hear some Jokic best of all time nonsense. I'm just saying it is what it is. But Jalen Brunson's out here losing to McCollum? He was a wizard a couple of months ago. Come on now. And the Knicks should be fine. It's a couple of one-point losses, but it doesn't feel fine. It feels tense. It feels like they might tank next season just to tell everybody we can't handle the pressure. A lot of pressure on New York heading into Game 4. A lot of pressure on the so-called best player in the world. That's next.
can't alienate your fan base. That's the problem. You got to show your fan base that you're still trying to win, and you want to sell tickets in the summertime. You don't want to go into mid-May and say, all right, we're 15 games out, but it's still only early May. No, fans will stay away. So you don't have the luxury anymore of just waiting. So someone's got to get fired. One of these teams is going to fire someone by the end of the month.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
I thought the Jets would have pulled the Ty Simpson move. I was desperately worried that was what they were going to do. But instead, they ended up getting it right with Bailey. And so did, by the way, the prediction markets, because we saw all that money come in for Bailey. It's kind of funny because all it is, and then you forget. Who did Arizona go with? I mean, Arizona went with a running back.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
We're seeing, as sports betting is continuing to rise, that some of the potential issues around it are rising too, and these companies are having to deal with that. You have several lawmakers have introduced bills across states in Congress to potentially curb some of the problematic activity. In some cases, like in Ohio, we talked about last week, to potentially end online sports betting.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
It's a 7-game sprint with a whole lot of volatility, right? You don't want the best team, so to speak, Donnie. You want the team that has a favorable group stage, weaker knockout path, and has some penalty variance coming their way here, because this is all about the path to the final, Donnie. It's not about the best team, because the best team can get knocked out.
Prediction Markets Edge, only on SportsGrid.
All right, we're back with you guys right here on SportsGrid, man. And Nuggets, Wolves, Jokic specifically have given us just this fascinating little run out here. And the reason why I sound frustrated with Jokic has just been some of the discourse around Nikola Jokic for the last half decade and how detached from reality I think it's been occasionally. Is Nikola Jokic one of the greatest players in league history? As long as we're talking, 20? Yes. Yes. He's one of the 20 greatest players in league history. I think that is totally fine. Should Nikola Jokic have some people that, I won't name names because of relationships, some people go, oh, he might just be the best player ever. No, that's ridiculous. That's laughable and an unacceptable opinion that no one should ever say. Okay? Should Nikola Jokic have had people voting for him to win MVP again while the other contenders were in his conference with better records? No. Because Nikola Jokic is now in this series where offensively the efficiency is gone, right? He's under a 2-to-1 assist to turnover ratio. He's scoring 25 a game on 40-21 shooting splits. And he's doing that while continuing to be bad defensively. Nikola Jokic has single-handedly ruined defensive box score plus minus and what that stat could potentially, help inform people about conversations. Because it's a stat that somehow incorporates assists and tells us that Jokic is actually one of the all-time great defensive players. So immediately you just have to throw it out. That's what happens unfortunately, at least with things like that. And even if I last year made the correct pivot to Shea is now the best player in the world that everybody was late to. Everybody was late. That's okay. Happens. It doesn't mean that this setup here for Jokic is acceptable. Because if Nikola Jokic is going to be one of the 10 greatest players in league history, the way a lot of people believe he is, I'm going to need you to get to another conference finals, brother. I don't really think 2 conference finals appearances is enough. He can't even forget making the finals. Conference finals. I'm sorry, that you've got to break through. So, I know, like, Jay, we're doing a lot of kind of overview. We're going to put picks on the board for everybody, I promise. But, like, I like Denver in this game. Because if Denver loses this game, they are getting checked pride-wise in a way that no other team really is right now. Jaden McDaniels ran through the entire starting lineup and said none of them can play defense. By name. He didn't say the Nuggets are bad defensively. He goes, we got to attack the bad defenders like Jokic, like Murray, like Gordon, like Brown. He just went like Cam Johnson. He went through the entire team. This Denver Nuggets team, the Knicks have a lot of pressure because they know an implosion is coming. Denver has to check their pride in game number 4 against the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Listen, I'm gonna say something that may not be popular. I'm never gonna put Nikola Jokic's top 10 all time because he doesn't bring it defensively. That's a problem to me. And you could do defensive ratings. Defensive ratings are a joke. I think the second highest defensive rating for the Knicks last game was Jalen Brunson. Guy's a walking cone. I actually can't even a walking cone because it means if he's a walking, it means he's moving. Anyway, you get my point. So to me, this is a narrative of Nikola Jokic where he's settling for threes, he's not knocking them down, and he's not elevating the rest of the team. And speaking of, I had my shot. I had Tip Capshaw, like as I talked about Capper. He made a point. Kevin, I don't know the last time during a playoff where a player's at postgame, they ain't got no one on their team that plays defense. I don't think I've ever heard a guy come out and say it. And then turn around and back it up the next game. And so I think that is where we're at with Denver is what are they, right? And to me, if you are going to win games in the postseason, you got to have guys that can guard. You got to get guys that can defend. And let's be honest, Denver's championship came against a team that was an 8 seed and got their way to the NBA Finals. They didn't go through the best. They didn't go through Boston and Milwaukee at that point. I'm not saying they got gift wrapped the series, Kevin, but they didn't play the best team when they won their finals. So to me, there's a lot of questions that need to be studied. And it's interesting because they got rid of Michael Malone. Kind of the same way the Knicks got rid of Tibbs. And those two, if you know anything about Tom Thibodeau, who did he work with? Michael Malone's dad, Brendan Malone. With the Knicks. Defensive guys. Really good on that side of the ball. And now when you go to a younger coach or a different coach who's more offensive based, when the game gets in the mud, do you have the toughness and the fortitude and, ready folks, the schemes and adjustments to win games in the playoffs when you can't score? Right now, Kevin, the Knicks don't have it, and neither do the Nuggets. And even though they're both favored in game 4, there's immense pressure that if the game gets tight, will they be able to get the stops? I actually believe more in the Knicks than I do Denver because the Knicks actually have better, in my opinion, defenders that can get stops with Anunoby, Bridges, Hart.
I do want to say this, and I think in our next segment, we're going to kind of rapid fire these games. We'll do Pistons, Magic, all of that. I do want to give this Wolves team a lot of credit. It is a group who I preseason bet to actually win the finals. I thought value-wise and talent and, it was all right there for this group. And it was a tough regular season for them. Anthony Edwards is still not healthy, by the way. Like in a very, I don't know exactly what's going on way. But they are one of the more together teams that you almost didn't see it coming. Like the way that I feel like Gobert coaches, sometimes the locker rooms are maybe divided on him. Like they're rallying around Gobert in this series. Like we haven't heard, I know it's because they're up 2-1, but Julius Randle's having one of those postseasons. Like just they feel very connected right now in Minnesota. We're going to come right back, run through all these games here on SportsGrid.
Can't alienate your fan base. That's the problem. You got to show your fan base that you're still trying to win, and you want to sell tickets in the summertime. You don't want to go into mid-May and say, all right, we're 15 games out, but it's still only early May. No, fans will stay away. So you don't have the luxury anymore of just waiting. So someone's got to get fired. One of these teams is going to fire someone by the end of the month.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
I thought the Jets would have pulled the Ty Simpson move. I was desperately worried that was what they were going to do. But instead, they ended up getting it right with Bailey. And so did, by the way, the prediction markets, because we saw all that money come in for Bailey. It's kind of funny because all it is, and then you forget. Who did Arizona go with? I mean, Arizona went with a running back.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
We're seeing, as sports betting is continuing to rise, that some of the potential issues around it are rising too, and these companies are having to deal with that. You have several lawmakers have introduced bills across states in Congress to potentially curb some of the problematic activity. In some cases, like in Ohio, we talked about last week, to potentially end online sports betting.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
It's a 7-game sprint with a whole lot of volatility, right? You don't want the best team, so to speak, Donnie. You want the team that has a favorable group stage, weaker knockout path, and has some penalty variance coming their way here, because this is all about the path to the final, Donnie. It's not about the best team, because the best team can get knocked out.
Prediction Markets Edge, only on SportsGrid.
All right, we're going to rapid fire here on SportsGrid. Coach, Magic Pistons, Orlando with the stunner in game one. Put the Pistons on their back heels. A tied game in game number 2 at half. Ended up with the Pistons just going on a run and handling business in somewhat dominating fashion, holding Orlando to 83, fewest points any team has scored so far in this postseason. Game number 3, what are you putting your eyes on?
I'm actually putting, my eyes on obviously Cade Cunningham. Kind of got going a little bit in that second half, 5 out of 9 from the floor, 12 points, kind of made that run when they got to. When he is, kind of working his way back still, I just think that they have the better team. I thought Orlando was going to give them a scare, and they did, because Orlando can do that to you. But I just get concerned about the ball sticking too much and too much reliance on Wagner and Banchero. I do like the Pistons to go up 2-1. And I think closes out in 5. It'll be a little bit more of a war today on the road in Orlando, but I do like the Pistons today.
In 5, though, JY is, I think, more aggressive than a lot of people would sign up with. You can definitely get some really, really nice plus money on a market like that. I find myself leaning with the Pistons as well in this basketball game, but I don't necessarily believe Orlando gets swept. I'd like to think that Paolo Banchero, who has gotten off to a nice little start so far in this series, but hasn't had an explosion game scoring the basketball, I would have to imagine he can see 25, maybe 30 in one of these 2 games. So that's certainly something I'll be looking for. SGA and the Thunder laying 9.5 at Phoenix here, total 214.5, Coach. Is there any world the Suns can hang around here, steal a game maybe?
No, folks, watch the game live. After what Devin Booker pulled in that press conference, that was directly done at the referees to try and get this game and get Oklahoma City under control. So if you watch the whistle being called early, I wouldn't mind taking plus the points in the first half for Phoenix. Lean on the home crowd, and try to, if they're in the game, I just think at some point in the second half, you're going to get a pull away and a win. I wouldn't bet it pregame in regards to the 8.5, 9.5 that you're seeing, but I do think you can look at Phoenix early plus the points, get to halftime, then bet Oklahoma City live at that point to close out the game.
I am So my favorite bet in game 2 is the over in this series, which ended up flying through. I want to play this under, but it looks like that's where the money is right now. This total, after, again, a bang over on a 216.5, has wrapped around a 214.5 right now. So I'm going to have to try and figure out if the value is still there, but certainly taking a look at that total. Knicks, Hawks, Nuggets, Wolves, JY. A couple of pick'em games here, but slightly favoring the road squads. Which one do you have more confidence in?
I'm going to try and take my Knicks hat off. I actually do think it's New York. New York, and as much as we've trashed them on what they've done wrong, they literally are 2 possessions away from being up 3-0. So clean up your mistakes, play better. Mikal Bridges can't get worse. Play Mitchell Robinson more. Get your defense going. And honestly, go to Cat early in the game is going to be key. Knicks get the win on the road. And Denver, Kevin made a great point. It's a pride check game right now for Denver. So they can't go down 3-1 back to home because that series is over. I think Denver finds a way, and Nikola Jokic is going to have to silence some critics and have a big game today. Both of those teams, slight favorites. Take them on the money line. They level up the series at 2-2 each.
Yeah, I do like Denver. I think the Knicks-Hawks game is quite tricky. I'm curious to see if Brunson kind of turns the assists up a little bit. 6.5 -140 we're seeing right now in market. I lost on Nickeil Alexander-Walker's points the other day. He had 11 in the third quarter, 3 points in quarters 1, 2, and 4, which was disappointing. At some point, this guy is going to break through, though. You have to imagine in this series, the problem is he's kind of taking a bit of a back seat right now to CJ McCollum, but it's obviously working out for the Hawks. On Sunday, coach, lines are available. Raptors 3.5-point home dogs. Blazers catch 5.5 at home. Sixers 7.5 at home. The Rockets are 5.5-point home favorites, looking to keep their postseason alive against the Lakers. Quickly before we get out of here, anything on Sunday you're watching early?
Yeah, it's going to be the Raptors. They are a far different team at home. 126 points in game number 3. That game looks like a bang over to go over with them getting 126. Here's the key with Toronto. I talked about this earlier in the week. It's their ability to create live ball turnovers and get a transition. They do a much better job of that at home than on the road. They need to get that game up and down. Look for that game to go over.
I am, believe it or not, ready to roll with the Rockets. In game number 4. LeBron James just played 46 minutes. I understand the Lakers would love a sweep. If they get a sweep, it's because Reeves comes back and scores 35. I think LeBron is like, listen, I will catch you all for game 5 in Los Angeles. Leave me alone. For Coach James Young, Kevin Walsh, thanks for hanging out with us here on SportsGrid.
Alienate your fan base. That's the problem. You got to show your fan base that you're still trying to win, and you want to sell tickets in the summertime. You don't want to go into mid-May and say, all right, we're 15 games out, but it's still only early May. No, fans will stay away. So you don't have the luxury anymore of just waiting. So someone's got to get fired. One of these teams is going to fire someone by the end of the month.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
I thought the Jets would have pulled the Ty Simpson move. I was desperately worried that was what they were going to do. But instead, they ended up getting it right with Bailey. And so did, by the way, the prediction markets, because we saw all that money come in for Bailey. It's kind of funny because all it is, and then you forget. Who did Arizona go with? I mean, Arizona went with a running back.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
We're seeing, as sports betting is continuing to rise, that some of the potential issues around it are rising too, and these companies are having to deal with that. You have several lawmakers have introduced bills across states in Congress to potentially curb some of the problematic activity. In some cases, like in Ohio, we talked about last week, to potentially end online sports betting.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
It's a 7-game sprint with a whole lot of volatility, right? You don't want the best team, so to speak, Donnie. You want the team that has a favorable group stage, weaker knockout path, and has some penalty variants coming their way here, because this is all about the path to the final, Donnie. It's not about the best team, because the best team can get knocked out.
Prediction Markets Edge, only on SportsGrid.